Hello, I'm Andy Delazure. I'm a water quality specialist with the University of Maryland Extension, and I would like to present to you information about upgrading to best available technology septic systems. So, what is a BAT unit? Essentially, a BAT, also known as an aerobic or advanced treatment unit, as they're known in other states, is essentially a miniature wastewater treatment plant, and it replaces the septic tank portion of a septic system. So you would have a BAT unit directly post the house, and then effluent from the BAT would then go into your existing drain field. And they are used to enhance or reduce the amount of nitrogen and organic matter that enters the drain field. Now, these systems are required by law in Maryland for certain locations. They have gone through an extensive field evaluation. Essentially 12 units have been installed for over a year, and they've been monitored, water quality analysis, et cetera, and they've been verified to reduce nitrogen by at least 50%. And then in Maryland, we have what's called the Bay Restoration Fund, which provides grants to homeowners and businesses to install BAT units, and more on that later. So why would you upgrade to a BAT unit? It's important to note that a conventional septic tank provides very little treatment, essentially about 5% removal of the nitrogen. A septic tank is designed to store volume, to settle solids, and to allow any sort of fats, oil, and greases to float up, thereby separating it from the wastewater, which then would enter the drain field. The drain field in a conventional system is where the vast majority of treatment occurs, generally in the neighborhood of 25 to 50% nitrogen removal. So again, BAT units significantly reduce nitrogen, organics, and the oxygen demand of wastewater. In other words, when you have a lot of organics and a lot of bacteria in that water, bacteria are feeding on the organics, and in order to do so, it requires a lot of oxygen, and that's what a BAT unit essentially does, is one part of that unit provides that oxygen to supply the bacteria with what they need in order to break down organics. And they are very effective in not only reducing nitrogen, but reducing organic load, and therefore they are good solutions for especially environmental sensitive areas. And in Maryland, the BAT program is focused on the critical areas of Maryland. That's 1,000 feet of navigable waters. They also are used in the case where there are lower quality soils. Lower quality meaning that there may be slower percolation rates, water infiltrates more slowly than other types of soil, where you don't have adequate depth of soil for treatment. So they have numerous applications and can be used in sites that typically would not be as ideal as others. And again, they're a good option for smaller lots, and the reason for that is that they provide enhanced treatment, as I mentioned, and that enhanced treatment can help prolong the life of an existing drain field. And on small lots where you don't have any sort of replacement area for the drain field, then this offers an opportunity to utilize the existing drain field for a lot longer period of time. BAT units come in various sizes and can be designed for different size homes and different types of businesses. So they're capable of handling larger flows and also capable of treating varied strengths of wastewater. For example, food businesses and schools, nursing homes, things like that, where the wastewater strength, the amount of organics and oxygen demand and nitrogen greatly differ from that of typical household wastewater. a schematic of a generic BAT unit. And basically it is a series of chambers that process the water. The first chamber is similar to that of a septic tank where the wastewater comes in from the home. The solids settle on the bottom and the fats, oils, and grease, also known as scum, floats to the surface. And then that water with lower solids and lower scum then goes to the next chamber where aeration is provided to help oxygenate the water, to feed that bacteria so that the bacteria can break down the organics. And then from there, that water then goes into another settling zone or clarification chamber. And then from there, it can be pumped back, go through the system a second time to enhance additional nitrogen removal and organic removal. And then the water then goes out to the drain field. Now, the important thing about that, this treatment, is that it provides very clear and odorless effluent. In contrast to septic tank wastewater effluent, where it would be very dark brown, you couldn't see through it, and would have an odor. The BAT units help really reduce all the organic matter, the turbidity. And again, that's the reason why the program wants to install BAT units, because it has lower environmental impact, but then also the benefit to the homeowner is that this clear effluent, as I mentioned before, helps to prolong the life of your drain field because it's not adding to organic load that can clog the soil pores, which would then prevent water from infiltrating in. So drain fields, as I mentioned, in a conventional system are a very important component of a system and provide the greatest amount of treatment, both reduction in nitrogen, but also organics, reduction and elimination of pathogenic bacteria. So the soil is doing a tremendous service in treating wastewater. There are several types, of course. The more conventional gravel trench system, where gravel is applied to new soil, and then again, the number of trenches would depend upon the size of the home, etc. Then there's what's called chambers here, which basically these chambers are ABS pipe that's been cut in half. It has slots for the wastewater to leave the sides. It basically replaces the gravel, but they're a lot easier to install. With all the drain fields here, the purpose is to spread wastewater out over the soil as much as possible. And that's what the gravel does. Here's another system here called Easy Flow Tubes. It's basically an artificial media, essentially replacing the gravel. There's the corrugated pipe that's actually inserted within the media. Ease of installation certainly is one benefit. And again, the purpose is to spread the wastewater out over the entire bottom of that trench. Then there's drip dispersal here, so similar to irrigation. These are shallow units, generally in the top 6 to 12 inches. And these systems are used after a BAT or advanced treatment unit, and water is pumped up into the drip tubing, and it then slowly perks out of the tubing and then is enabled to disperse into and infiltrate into the soil. This is a schematic on the basic nitrogen removal process, essentially. And just to show you how the system works biologically and actually chemically, most of the wastewater coming out of the home is in the form of ammonia, and then post the septic tank, it goes out into the drain field. And again, with beneficial bacteria in the soil, in the presence of oxygen, that ammonia is converted to nitrite and then to nitrate. And then you get leaching down into the groundwater. In addition, in areas where there is no oxygen, other bacteria convert that nitrate to nitrogen gas, which is then vented off into the atmosphere. And that is good because our atmosphere is made up of about 78% nitrogen. So this is a cycling process, a natural biological chemical process that helps to reduce the nitrogen, and organic as well. And then, as I said, the soil is also remediating pathogenic bacteria. But it is important to note that all wastewater, whether it's from a wastewater treatment plant or a septic system, does have impact on groundwater. Nothing is 100% removal. So as I said earlier, the septic tank removes about 5% nitrogen. The BAT units approved in Maryland remove 55 to 77 actually percent of the nitrogen. The drain field typically will remove 20 to 40, maybe 45, almost 50% of the nitrogen. So if you had a BAT and a good functioning drain field, you could remove 66 to 87% of the nitrogen. This is a document from Maryland Department of Environment. It is basically what they call the BAT ranking document that shows the 11 units from 7 different manufacturers that have been tested and are approved. It shows the prices, it shows the electrical costs, the annual maintenance costs. It's a great resource for homeowners to be able to look at the different systems and then to decide what unit that they would want to have installed. The program provides installation and then also a 2-year maintenance contract. Now, it's important to note these prices are based on the Bay Restoration Fund. So if you were to buy a BAT unit outside the Bay Restoration Fund, the prices would be different. And then not all of these units are available in all counties of Maryland. This is just a graphical representation of the previous table, just to highlight a couple of things. So these units run from about 12,000 to 18,000. These are 2019 prices, and they go through an annual rebid process, and it's expecting that the prices in 2021 will be greater because component prices have increased during the pandemic. But again, it shows the cost of purchase, the installation, and a 2-year maintenance contract. Shows the reduction. So it's a very good resource for homeowners to get an idea of, what type of system provides what type of nutrient reduction. This is a continuation of that, just showing the electrical costs as well as the service contract costs. So basically, the cost of these units are about, under $3 to under $19 a month to operate. Basically, what you have in the system is a aeration device, and that could be a compressor, a blower, or a mixer, and then you have a pump, possibly to pump the unit, pump the wastewater through to your drain field, depending upon what drain field you have. Some cases it's gravity flow, but others, say for example, like a drip irrigation system, you would have a pump chamber. And then the other thing is it shows the annual maintenance costs, which currently run about $175 to under $300 a year. And then some of these units require either once or twice per year service. It just depends upon the unit and the manufacturer. So we have the Bay Restoration Fund. This is funded by the $5 monthly fee. And again, it's a cost sharing program. The county health departments administer the program, and each county receives funding based on several factors, one being the total number of septic systems and also the amount of critical areas that particular county has. And then overall, the program allocates about $16 million to fund the program and provide installation of BAT units. They have modified the program a little bit to help low-income households to repair or replace drain fields. And that's just something that's happened in the last couple of years. Again, the local counties manage the funding, so you would have to contact your local county health department. Typically, it's the environmental health office or branch within the health department that administers the programs. And again, the grants are awarded based on a fiscal year cycle. So the Bay Restoration Fund program, obviously, the intent is to reduce nitrogen and organic loading to waters within that 1,000 feet of navigable waters, also called the critical areas. And so priority would be given to those systems that are failing. Say, for example, that would mean, say, if your septic tank is leaking, that would be an example of a failing system. And then second ranking would be those failing systems that are not within the critical areas. And then there's what's called non-conforming systems. That's basically older systems that are not up to current code. And then you have other systems and locations, things like that. So again, it's based on a prioritization. So you might be lower in the list, but there's still available funding in the county because say a limited number of applications in the priority ranked 1, 2, or 3, for example. So again, you would apply, and then based on the number and type of applications, you may or may not be able to get funding that particular year. Some cases, counties have had to return money back to the state program because they didn't get enough applications to utilize all their annual allotment. And then it's also important to note this is a very generous program. When you look at it, first off, $16 million a year, and then it'll fund 100% of the BAT unit if your household income is less than $300,000 a year. If it's more than that, then they'll fund up to 50%. And then for businesses, you can see the numbers here. If you're a nonprofit, it's 100%. If you're a small business, it's 75%. So again, a very generous program and a great opportunity to take advantage of. And this just shows the number of BAT units as of 2020, 15,000 units and growing. Certainly, it also shows the counties. You can see Anne Arundel County with its vast amount of acreage within the coast critical areas has the greatest number of installed BAT units. Now, it's important to note with a BAT unit and any septic system, you have to maintain your system. This is critical. So trying to reduce the cost of your system and maximize the life expectancy of your system, particularly your drain field, because once a drain field fails, and that could be that water's backing up to the surface or backing into your home, once it fails like that, you have to replace it. You cannot repair that system. Basically, the soils get clogged up over time with organics and the water won't percolate. And therefore, you have to go to a new area on your property to dig a new drain field. So it's very important to follow some basic maintenance practices. These are the more common ones, certainly. If you have any leaks, fix those. Garbage disposals and drain fields and septic systems don't mix well. And the reason for that is garbage disposals are chopping up food particles and sending out a lot more higher concentration or organics that have not been processed in any manner. So it really puts a strain on the system and can increase the amount of organics leaching out into the drain field. Chemicals, other than the exception of a normal use of household cleaners, can actually impact, kill off some of the beneficial bacteria within the system, and they're not recommended. Certainly paints, for example, any sort of bleach in excess, those types of things will have an impact, not only on the bacteria, but can actually increase the clogging of the soil pores. Also, it's very important to only flush toilet paper. No wipes or anything else. They may be marketed as flushable or septic friendly, but they are not. They can actually clog filters. They can clog up the aeration system. They just don't break down as regular toilet paper does. And then it's also important to keep water away from your system. Don't drive on your drain field. You don't want to compact that soil. That soil needs to breathe, as I mentioned earlier, in order to process that nitrogen and process those organics. Tree roots can interfere with drain field systems, and so you have to be careful there. Really key is to have your tank pumped at least every 3 years, again, dependent upon the number of people and the use of that unit. And then BAT units require special pumping, okay? And so that service provider, that BAT service provider, part of the annual maintenance is to check and to pump the unit if necessary. And again, you want to maintain your contract after the initial 2 years through the Bay Restoration Fund. It's very important that these units are maintained. If they're not maintained, well, first off, they have filters, so the filters get clogged. The other thing is maintain the electric supply. There have been homeowners that think that they could save a little bit of money. When you shut it off, you're basically turning it back into a regular conventional septic system with a lot less storage volume. Can actually damage the system in some ways, or certainly possibly allow more organics to go out into your drain field, thereby reducing the life expectancy of your drain field. So with that, there's a tremendous amount of resources. If you're not in Maryland, most states have their environmental office will have information on septic systems, advanced treatment units. Certainly the local counties have that. In Maryland, we have a wealth of information on the MDE, On-Site Systems Division website, both a lot of information about the Bay Restoration Fund, the BAT units, vendors, service suppliers information. Again, I would suggest that you contact your local county environmental health office. Again, they administer the Bay Restoration program, and they can be a great resource of information. And then in Maryland, we also have our industry association, the Maryland On-Site Wastewater Professionals Association, or MALPA. So thank you for your time.